Ladies and gentlemen, ball watching, Jake and Justin, we're back with a recap of last night's unfortunate game of an event coming against Portland Timbers in the home leg. We defeated them earlier this season away. If that was only a couple weeks ago, but it feels like forever ago after what our eyes had to go through last night. Justin, initial reactions, man. I knew you were there. I was not able to make it, but it just looked ugly, like just downright not fun to be at with the rain too. Like, oh.
It was. I would say the atmosphere is always incredible. The weather was great until the rain came at the end. That was really weird. It got really cold really quick. But I mean, yeah, we'll touch on it all. But it was an interesting one. Not a game that we typically see from our guys. And I think not having Klaus really hurt. Kind of seeing what he does off the ball that and kind of hold up the game or hold up the ball. Sorry, and kind of drive the game with his feet, even when he's not scoring. And I think that really showed last night.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. My one word summary to get into that, just because it, to me, and this has kind of happened at least twice now, was, and this is more in reference to our attack, but I feel like last night we were very, very toothless. Like we just lacked that bite, that final pass, that final ball, the one that sent your guy in for a chance on goal. We had some good build-up play here and there where you're like, wow, we're looking good. Even the first half, I even put out a tweet. I was like, first half, I feel like we're letting Portland off the hook. The second half of the first half, especially, we were like, man, we're just knocking on the door. Like we just need that last pass, and we just weren't able to get it. We had one shot on goal the entire game, which was really frustrating to me because I know you talked about it in the preview. Portland isn't this exceptional defense that's very stout and really stingy on giving up goals. So to have that happen last night at home at City Park, we were just super toothless.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Also, when you mentioned the preview, don't make me do that by myself again. I talked to a lot of people. They're like, "Hey, you did a really good job." I'm like, I don't even want to remember it, to be honest. My synonym, or sorry, not a synonym, kind of similar to toothless. I'm just going with flat, and I know it's not a really just deep word by any means, but the boys just looked flat-footed. They were standing around. There was not a lot of cohesiveness in communication. Chemistry wasn't there. And then also when we gave up that PK, the whole place kind of went flat. It's like we would cheer, and then Celio gets us right back into it, and then we're flat-footed, and then they score 2 minutes later. Flat's all I got.
Flat's a good one. Very simple but meaningful word in this context. I think that's a good one.
I think people describe me as that, Jake. Simple.
Yeah. Are you also flat?
and I'm flat. Yeah.
Flat Stanley.
I'm a flat and you're a drum.
I mean, there were some highlights last night. I'm not going to overlook. There were some things that I saw, especially in the first half, that mostly individual kind of moments of brilliance. And there was a great challenge from Hebert early on where you talk about sticking one in. He got one in there. You could tell he's pretty hyped up to get that one very early. I think like 6th minute. There was some Alm stuff last night, dude. Alm, I still feel like is coming out of his shell. We could not find him to save our lives last night, but the moments that he was involved, with the flicks, the touches, I feel like he's really getting going and he's clicking. It's just a matter of finding him and involving him in the play. He had a couple, beautiful passes and touches last night that I look at and I'm just like, that quality. I don't know if we have many like that in our team. Leuven also exceptional, especially in most of the first half last night.
Yeah, I would agree. Especially with Alm, it's good to see him. Like you said, he's still coming out of his shell. And it's great because we need energy like that. Same with Celio and Azil Jackson. Like we have in Stroud and Alm and all these guys. We have Isak Jensen, guys that can whip balls in. We need that last touch, that last completing part. And Klaus is usually there for there. Nico did all right last night, but not incredible. Sorry, I don't want to get
no, you're good.
Life. We'll keep talking highlights. But yeah, I agree. I think Alm is starting to play a lot better. So next one, I know you already took us through the first two. Third one. Had a tiki-taka 1-2, leads to an Indy chance. He air ballooned it over the top. I think he was just really trying to get his left foot behind it. But it's good to see. I am seeing that more in these past two games. A lot of our play where it's just in tight spaces, we're really good in the final third. Just boom, 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 tic-tac-toe. Throw Miggy in there as well with one of those guys that can just move the ball quickly. And it's good to see. So we saw that in the 17th. And you already mentioned Leuven. He's got guys just looking dumb. He's putting everybody on skates out there still. And you have right here, guys swinging feet hopelessly. And then 2 minutes later on the 27th, his footwork is on another level. And he just looks so composed when he does it too.
He doesn't, you look at him and some of the moments you saw last night, what's worse than skates? Because that was happening last night. He had guys just going everywhere. Like I mean, you look at like these fake movies of, NFL or football games where there's a running back that's running with the ball and everyone's just diving behind him, like everyone's missing. That's what it looked like last night. You could not touch him in the first half. He was dancing around everyone and he made it look so effortless and so easy. And you look at that as any soccer fan, you're like, this guy just doesn't look like he even belongs here. Like he's just of another stuff.
And we need to make sure that he feels like he belongs because, God, I feel like his stock is just rising across the world. I think people are really noticing from him with how well we did to start, and then two, now without Klaus, he's that staple for us that just keeps games going and also ends games when he needs to. So I thought he looked great last night.
He does, and I appreciated our ability to make adjustments during the first half last night, because the first half of the first half was kind of a half itself where super open, kind of both teams getting looks here and there. Second half of the first half, it was ours. We had it, not to say we had much to show for it, but we dictated that game. We managed it entirely. We kind of just progressed bit by bit and then hit a big switch and keep moving on the width, because that's where all the space was last night. They were kind of clogging up the middle side of the pitch. There was another moment last night, Justin, I'll say too, to get into a little bit of the second half, or maybe it was the end of the first half, where Berkey, and you see the quality of distribution from him. We talk about it all the time, but that side volley punt that he just put on Alm into space that led to a chance for us was just perfect. Chef's kiss. You love to see that from a goalie. He's got the feet of a center back, of a field player. Absolutely. And I love to see that, because it was inch perfect. And him creating chances. Hey dude, if we're not creating chances, they might have to come from Berkey, because no one else is stepping up.
He's springing guys, and I love it. Just he's Josh Allen with his hands. He's Josh Allen with his feet. The man can just put a ball on a platter from anywhere, and it's good to see. And he had a couple of those too with throws that he was starting counters with, and I love it. And you mentioned his feet already. I'll jump forward a little bit. He had a couple massive kick saves, which is something that I would say in the game in the Union Omaha, the game in Colorado, obviously, and last night. So it's good to see him just literally standing on his head and trying to keep us in it. And then there was another one I will say before I get into some highlights later, but Stroud had an in-swinger and a bad clearance. Leuven had a side volley, just barely missed the post.
Oh, yep.
Everyone was on their feet when that guy was winding up for that side volley. It was incredible. And then also in the 61st, going back to Roman, he had a great first save on the 1v1 that ultimately ended up being a PK for them. But the first save was a 1v1. And then, yes, this man has been holding on to stuff, doing well with parries. This parry kind of sat right there, but it was also a quick reaction save.
Yeah.
The guy was like 3 yards away. So I don't think anything on Berkey there.
I want to talk about Berkey in the grades too, because I have some thoughts about his performance last night. Otherwise, let's round this out, Justin, in terms of highlights. Again, not overly many last night, but I did like the cameos from Azio, from Celio, and from Ostrak as well. He got a little bit overlooked there, but he was the one that obviously set up the goal. So the progression of play for the goal was Alm on the ball, slips in a through ball to a great run that Ostrak was kind of hanging on to stay on sides, looks up, finds the vision. I think some guys might just look at that ball, get it to the end line and just clip it to like the back post, but Ostrak looks up, clearly sees Celio coming onto it and just, gives it a quick slide over to him. And great performance from Celio to just get onto that and just flick it kind of up in the air. And it was not an easy finish. He didn't overly power it. He just kind of finessed it above the goalie. So I think that little combination, that buildup was great. We just didn't see enough of that. That final ball was there, but otherwise it was nowhere.
No, I completely agree. And I think that's, unless you have any other highlights, I think that's it on highlights for us. Honestly, the goal was it, that we didn't have anything else after that. We can touch on stats. We won possession 52 to 48%. We only had a total of 7 shots and 1 on goal, which was Celio. So our XG, we only had 0.79 to their 1.6. I think that's completely fair. I'm surprised their 1.6 isn't higher. The amount of kick saves that Roman had to make last night was just insane. Other than that, I mean, committed less fouls. I don't. Nothing's really.
It's another one, Justin, where like we talked about this last week too, and unfortunately, after the game against Colorado, where you look at the stats, the meaningful ones, a lot of them are green, because Portland just was the better team last night. There's no way of talking around that. They wanted it more, and they deserved what they got. Like, I'm not gonna talk us off that. We didn't deserve a tie. If we'd gotten out with one, I've been like, we should have really beaten them, but I'll take the tie because we looked awful for most of that game. But it was mostly green last night. Portland was just rolling. They had the better of all the shot stats, mostly XG passes they let us have, but you know what? If I'm a team rolling into St. Louis right now with how we're playing when we have the majority of possession, let us have it, because we're not like we're creating a lot from the possession that we have. And I'm not going to say that we dominated possession. We only had 52 to their 48%, but we're showing this thing where we want teams to come in to want to possess the ball. We don't want to possess the ball. We want to play on the break and make them uncomfortable versus us try to like find that space and find that perfect pass and build up, because that's not our strength.
Agreed. And we need to get back to that. I don't know why we're starting to be this possession style team. We need to be those springing balls forward, doing counterattacks, pressing high. We even had a chance to talk about our press very much recently. And like, that's because it's just not clicking. I mean, I think we had a good turnover in the Omaha game when the press worked, but overall, we're not seeing it like we did those first couple games where the guys are flying around. And I think we just need to get back to that playing style.
I agree.
Let's talk about some specific lowlights. We don't have a ton in here either, just because, I mean, there was a lot of lowlights, but I don't want to really harp on those. So kind of as a whole, though, first half was pretty wide open. I will say Portland kind of took it to us to start. Then we kind of bounced back in the remainder of the first half, but there's a couple of those I know you have on here in the 20th minute. We're missing the final ball. Leuven just needs to take a rip himself. I would agree with that. And just that man, he's got a rocket of a shot. He keeps setting up guys, but we need him to finish as well.
We do. There's a couple moments last night, and I'll talk about it more when we get to the player ratings. Again, different position for him last night. We've seen him in that 10 kind of floating 10 position, almost a little bit of a second striker. I'm not convinced on that position for him. He can do it. But I do think he's looking for that perfect final pass sometimes, where I'd rather him just rip it. Just take a shot, man. You have a great one. Like just use it. Who else is going to shoot the ball like you? I don't know if I would take many people over him right now. So that was one thing I thought about. The way that Portland played, they just totally clogged up the middle of the field. And it was frustrating for us because for some reason last night, we weren't creating that width and being dangerous down the flanks. I think this game was screaming for wingbacks on our team. And it could have been a great opportunity for someone like a Pedro or even like Akil Watts, who did come in to see some minutes later on in the game, because they weren't challenging as much down the side of the field. They were looking the middle, they were looking long. And I really, really was looking for last night, maybe some earlier changes where we could drive more down the field on the width. And we found some pockets of that every once in a while, but man, we just lacked that bite and attack. And it just was so frustrating because you're looking at it as a bystander, like, I know how we can get through, and they're giving us that space out wide. Just someone go take it and go run into a long ball, or just let's go attack the channels and let's put numbers there. But you look at our clusters last night of all our player positions, and everyone was literally stacked on top of each other, like on top of each other. It was not good.
No, we need to create that space. And I think we have the wingers to do it. But the problem is it's that we get the ball in the middle, but it's the last final touch that we're not having anyone that's in there that's going to finish that. I can't literally name a good chance that Nico had last night.
No,
if you can.
No, I can't either.
This was the game we needed him to step up with Klaus out and show that, hey, you can be a number one striker on a team. And that man was a mime. I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
I'll say another one in the 49th minute before we get into their goals. Parker had a really lazy touch, dude, and it could have definitely been a goal for them. He was just kind of slow right in front. I think it was about 10 yards out of the 18. They took two more touches after just picking his pocket, and they just missed a curler barely. But then otherwise, I think the next low light for me was at least the Portland goal in the 61st. Caught over the top, and PK was called. Lack of VAR. I don't really – you have that as a note here. That's one thing. I think everyone in my entire section was confused. I don't understand one – Yes, great first save by Roman. Yes, extremely unlucky that Johnny's on the ground there, but I don't know how you call that. I don't really get it. And Johnny even DM'd us. He goes, PK, I don't know about that one. I agree, dude. And I told him, I responded to him like, hey, it's kind of just a crappy call. Don't worry about it. Don't think about it twice. That ref as a whole was just way too involved. You can't leave a game and be having the amount of calls that he made. Like, a ref is supposed to facilitate the game and officiate it, not be the main star of it. And he was just everywhere last night.
Yeah. So a couple of thoughts there. Absolutely. I'm not going to blame referee, and I know you're not either, because we just were not up to it last night. That didn't help, certainly. I will say, I think he was consistent, and unfortunately he was consistent on these soft calls that just disrupt the momentum and the play. No one wants to watch a little tic-tac foul, thing. And there was a moment in the first half, it's like, geez, man, just let it go. And he missed other big ones, so he wasn't very consistent there. I think that one, he was so quick to his whistle. Unfortunate for Johnny. I think he loses his footing and does whatever he can as an instinct to just get his body on the ball and prevent a shot from happening. We can argue whether or not his arm hit it or not, and that's fine. But the fact that my note here about VAR was that where's the transparency, man? Like I want to understand the calls, and like I'm watching it at home, and you can't even tell VAR is listening or looking at this until the very last second after minutes go by, where they finally show you like the VAR like look and what they're looking at to observe this and make sure they're making the right call. There's no audio. There's no, hey, they called this because of this. Like I wish sometimes we were a little bit like the NFL in that case, where you could actually come out and justify it. People can disagree if they want, but let us know why you made the decision that you made.
I don't even know if they told the stadium there was VAR.
They didn't.
I don't remember them telling. That's
Yeah.
why I didn't even. I thought it was just like 3 minutes of like I know we were like arguing and possibly looking at it, but like you said, there was nothing that we even knew that they were looking at it on the screen. And into the PK, good finish. Roman went the wrong way. He knew it. He just got caught going to his right, and the ball went to his left. But other than that, dude, then also getting into it. Unfortunately, the next one, their goal in the 82nd. What was that? We scored in the 79th. Was it 3 minutes later?
We did. We scored the 79th. Yep.
You can't do that. We can't be giving up a goal there. And this one hurts a little bit, or not a little bit, a lot of it. But it hurts me the most is that it was a long ball from their goalie that was in the air for maybe 10 seconds. And we get no one on the end of it. It's just looking at it, and it comes down. It goes right between Indy and Nerwinski, and they just look at each other like one of them should have had it or the other guy. You win that first ball, goal doesn't happen. Place is electric. Everybody's bumping. Completely took the air out of it when they scored that goal.
Yeah, and especially you just scored, and they play this long ball. Like everyone's got to be buzzing from getting the equalizer. Get up and win it. And if you don't win it, then get bodies on it and stick a foot in and win it. We had like 4 guys on their one guy, and somehow he comes out with the ball and then plays it over to Chara, who good finish. I don't think Berkey was expecting him to hit that first time. And I think he struggled. He didn't really set his feet like at that exact moment. And that was still a great finish, but inexcusable, man. Like just someone go out there. Honestly, just grow a bit of confidence. You guys just scored and let's win the ball. Like it was inexcusable to me. Like, I don't know how that it's the intensity in that moment. And I think that kind of is a little bit of a picture of a little bit of most of the game for us. Is it's just the intensity there. The moments that we had to show up for, we just didn't.
No, they're just flat. That's when I saw that when I was rewatching the game this morning. I was like, that's it. That's the moment for me where everybody was flat. You can't let that ball drop.
Yep.
It was upsetting to me. And we talked about this before we hopped on, Jake. Is this the 85th minute? Is this the one where I was trying to find because it wasn't on the highlights that they had on Apple, but there was a handball by them, but it didn't get called because Azil was offside?
No, so that's a different one. But yes, that also happened, I think, right before. So I think in the 74th minute, there was the offsides handball controversy where we played a ball through and it hit a hand. So it deflected off of one of the Portland players by hitting their hand and onto an offsides. I forget who exactly was offsides on our team, but they called it offsides. There's controversy around like if that ball isn't aimed at that person and it goes to that person because it's deflected off a Portland player, should it technically be offsides? And so there's back and forth between like what should have happened there and not. And we didn't it's not like we scored a goal, but it would have been a great chance when we were in behind. But very frustrating again. Like there's no VAR to look at that. I didn't see it at least in the moment watching that stream. Again, the officiating. There was another like the thing you were mentioning, Justin, was there was like Aziel Jackson just took a full bull rush to his back. Like in the 85th minute, like no call. Usually the shoulder to shoulder, good with. That makes total sense. I love it. Actually, I love to see those happen. But he just got like just run over, and this guy's just like waving him up, like let's play. It's like, how do we do the let's play on these little like niggles on the little fouls you were calling all game, and not these stupid. Portland, honestly, they were really frustrating last night. They fouled a lot. Their coach, dude, I was watching him in the stream. Like I don't think he's ever seen his team commit a foul because every time they did anything and the ref called it, he was so pissed. I hated Gio Savarese last night. He just got under my skin. It was so frustrating.
I would agree. Let's get out of the lowlights. I know you have here moment of the game, which I would agree.
Yeah,
is right after we scored, they just came back and just deflated the entire place, and it was a great rebound by them. Just they're like, we didn't come here to just get a point. They were dominating us. They pushed it right back down our throat. So
yeah, it's the total
moment of the game.
The total inverse of what should have happened. Like we should have scored that goal and been like, let's go get the winner. Right. We've been playing off all day. Let's go win this game. And instead, Portland's like, wow, we just conceded a late goal there. Let's go win this game, actually. So unfortunate, man. It's so frustrating. Let's go to report cards, Justin, for the game, position by position for us. I'm actually going to say for Berkey, and this is what I want to talk about. Berkey, I actually think played just fine. I think he actually played a really strong game. The scoreline doesn't reflect that at all. I think he made some great saves. I don't think I necessarily fault him at all on the first goal. Obviously, with the PK, he made a great save before that, and in the second goal, I think he could have set his feet a little better to get in a better position to save that. But I don't know if he would have anyway. So I think I give him like a B plus, and I can't give him an A because I think you got to win the game to get an A. Maybe not, but I think he could have done maybe just a little bit more something to get an A. But I think he was our best performer last night to me.
I would agree. And I think it wasn't just the shot stopping. We already talked about his distribution was incredible again last night. So I agree. I think a B plus is a fair one for him. He did stop 5 shots. That shot 5 shots on goal. They had 7 total, 2 goals. He saved 5 of them. There's a couple that he was in good position that they missed just wide anyways too. So he was overall, I thought it was a pretty solid game from Roman. Can't say the same about our back line. Unfortunately, Nerwinski's stop is continuing to drop and plummet. I don't think Parker looked that sharp. We already talked about his on their they should have had a third goal on the giveaway from him. Nothing, just Johnny and Hebert. I think Hebert probably did the best out of the back line. There was nothing that stood out to me. I think, like you said, Johnny was flying around and getting his body in front of everything. And it's unfortunate they called a handball there. So that was good by Johnny. But overall, from the back line as a whole, I'll give him a B minus. Yeah, maybe even a C plus.
I'd go into the C territory for them because I think the right side of our defense with Parker and Nerwinski were off the beat last night for sure. And I think they would tell you the same thing. Hebert and Nelson, I think, were the better side of us. And I will say Nelson had a hard job on his hands last night with Mascara. That guy's legit, dude. He's a bulldozer. He's young. He's really fast. He was really dangerous for them all night. So I'd go C territory for the back line. Midfield, it's hard because we rotate our midfield almost entirely in the game. So we're counting midfield. Leuven, I'm not counting in the midfield for this one because we did technically line up with the 4-4-2. So midfield, I'm also going to give them a C. I liked some guys more than others, but still not enough chance creation, not enough bite and sticking in tackles and breaking up their direct play that they were giving us last night. I wasn't impressed really overly by anyone. I think Miggy did have one of the better games last night. But it gets lost in the shuffle because we were kind of taking it most of the second half. So it was just not a great night for the midfield. You see moments though, like I said, even Stroud had some moments last night. But this is some place that and we'll get into where we go from here, but I might want to see some changes in how we kind of go to these games a little bit. Our starting 11 formation, whatever it is, I kind of want to see some fresh to the lineup.
Yeah, and I will say, if we want to count in some subs, obviously Celio did another great game. Azil was all over the place as well. Those guys, I think one of them are fighting for a starting spot right now, and we could see that going forward. And I agree. I think we had some chance creation with these guys. It just wasn't enough. Happy birthday to Miggy. So what does that make him, 18 now? Not a 17-year-old. Yeah.
He's still a baby.
Yeah. You can buy cigs now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, let's move up into the forwards. We talked about it. Leuven, still probably the man of the match for me. And I think he played well up there. Not enough from Nico, his counterpart, that was up there with him. I literally cannot remember a highlight or a low light from Nico. Just nothing like nothing where he missed a sitter or anything like that. But he wasn't even involved. You could have told me that. You could have told me that he didn't play, and I would have been like, "Yeah, I don't remember seeing him."
I read the post game comments from Carnell on this, and they said even at halftime they were monitoring his output, his performance in terms of just running and actual output, and they said he was working his tail off. And I agree, he was running so much last night. He was challenging for every ball he could in the air, but he's not Klaus, and they were asking him to play Klaus's role last night, and that's just not Nico Gioacchini. So a little bit unfair to ask him that, and I'm going to talk about Leuven here because I do think Leuven was also or Berkey was my man of the match last night, but I don't like him in the 10. I know that it's maybe just a means to an end when we're missing a Klaus and Blum, and those are just two guys down your spine that you cannot be missing at the same time, unfortunately. I want him deeper in our midfield. I want him getting on the ball deeper, even on defense and springing attacks and distributing and everything kind of running through him. Kind of think about how it's Vasilev right now. I want Leuven there. And I think ideally when Blum is back and we have Klaus as well, Leuven is there. he's the 8. He's doing both offense and defense. And last night, I think we lose so much in our buildup and our outlets when he's being forced to really just focus on attack. Because I think he does a lot of great stuff on defense as well and distribution. So I love Leuven. I don't like when we deploy him as a 10. And maybe Carnell feels like his hands are tied. I kind of want to see some change in how we think about Leuven's role, because I really do want to see him play deeper.
I would agree. And I think there's nothing really more we need to talk about with him. The one thing I wanted to apologize to everybody for, the whole Stroud yellow card thing. I did not know that they rescinded one of those. So he only has 5.
We did know, because we covered it, Justin, but they didn't correct on the stats.
Right. Yeah. Sorry. When I went to go look, it's like he has 5, because you and I both were like, wait, are we like, am I looking at this wrong? Like, why is no one talking about this? And that's why. So my fault on that one. Let's talk about our predictions, which did not do well. You predicted a 2-1 dub. I predicted a 3-1 dub. I lost every bet that I did last night as well. Unfortunately, a pretty big one. I thought for sure the over 1.5 for us specifically was an absolute lock, even if we just somehow got a tie or something out there, came out with an L. So I absolutely hammered that in.
Oh man,
did not go well.
It's so hard to bet on these guys right now, because ever since that winning streak ended, we're kind of a Jekyll and Hyde team. You never know what you're going to get. It's either it's high flying, it's high press, everything's going for us, like a game like Cincinnati. And then you have games like this where it's like, we can't even put a foot right. And that's games like Minnesota. That's games like kind of Colorado. That's games like last night. So, man, it's so hard to put bets on, because you just don't know what's going to turn up. And there's been changes in personnel. So, albeit that is also true, but it's hard, man. It's just hard that you don't know what you're getting sometimes from these guys.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going to have to do a lot more. We do a lot of research during the week, but if I'm going to be putting a bet on Saturday against FC Dallas, I will have to know that it's an absolute lock, not just like a good gut feeling, because we got to look at what's going on here, and
we'll buckle down.
Yeah, and we have in the next segment, where do we go from here? I know forward depth with not good without Klaus. Is he going to be back? It's going to be, because like they said 10 to 14 days on Sunday. So like 10 days would be like what? Like this coming Wednesday or Thursday, 14 would be Saturday. I'm kind of hoping that it's like, we don't want to rush him back, but maybe you bring him off the bench if needed.
Yeah. You definitely do not want to aggravate whatever he's got going on right now. So I think they will be uber conservative to what he's going through. And I don't expect him to see Dallas. I want to see maybe him hit training the next week and be in the build up to our next game. But I'm not expecting to see Klaus. This whole timing of us missing a forward is tough when we just loaned out Adeniran. It kind of just looks worse and worse. I know that's probably in the works before Klaus goes down, but man, we don't have a forward anymore. Like Gioacchini, even when you look at his profile, is a forward/winger. So he's not a true 9. And we're asking him to do a lot right now that I don't think he's built for necessarily.
It's just kind of weird to me that we loaned him out. Like, you think about, we have so many midfielders. We didn't have like this. Oh, yes, we're scoring a lot of goals and he wasn't seeing a lot of minutes, and that you definitely want to make sure that he's getting touches, but I feel like we still definitely need him. Like, it just to come on and create some chances on these, and especially, without even knowing Klaus is out or not, just to bring some new fresh blood up there. And I agree, though, you probably won't see Klaus on Saturday, because thinking about this injury, this was not like a knock to his ankle. This was a quad injury that was just that no one touched him on. So that is one that you just got to completely take care of and don't rush him back.
Justin, for me, we talked about Leuven a little bit in his positioning. I kind of want to see some shakeup to the starting 11 and maybe even to formations when we go into Dallas. They usually do a 4-3-3. And I'm fine if we want to match some 4-3-3. I don't think the 4-4-2 we played last night should ever be played again. It was just not working. And I don't think it was just because it was an off night. I think that was maybe a little bit of it, but I just don't think that was working. For me, I think the most likely places you might see changes would be at right back. I do think we could maybe afford to see Akil Watts get a start at right back. I'd be very open to that at this point. And not because I don't like Jake Nerwinski. I just think I want to see competition for places. And Akil Watts looked good last night. He looked fine. And I think he's more athletic and he could offer something different.
I would agree with that. And then also, don't forget, Will Nielsen coming back. It's May.
That's right.
It's May tomorrow. How many?
Yeah, it's May tomorrow.
Yeah. So we finally have them. That's the month that we've been talking about for the past 8 months. So having him back, and when we talked about it, I still think that Hebert's played well enough. You don't want to bring off him. So I think you could put Hebert on the right, take Nerwinski off, and have Nielsen back there with Parker. So something to look forward to, hopefully.
I agree. fully agree. I cannot wait for him to come and play. I think he's going to be I'm also of the opinion that not sold on Stroud, either Stroud or that position right now in terms of starting 11. I want to get Pompeu starting, and I would love to find a place to start Aziel Jackson as well. I don't know. I'm not a soul on the Aziel part of it yet. I think he should get in the game very early on. I think Celio, with the energy and the confidence he's playing with right now, you are doing yourself a disservice if he does not start for our team.
I think he will be starting on Saturday. Yep. That's going to be my bold prediction. Whatever. Yep. I'm fine with Aziel still coming off the bench. We need a spark club of some kind, and both those guys bring so much energy. So I don't know who's going to come off because, like you said, Alm's looking better. I think Indy's been solid. We'll drop Leuven back in, and then is it Stroud? Who knows?
I think it's Stroud, the sacrificial lamb in that case for me. And then center forward, you can't drop Nico. Obviously, he needs to be on the play. He just may not need to be in the center. Like, what if we play Pompeu through the middle as like a false 9, and we shift like a Nico out wide? And he plays in that position as well. So I want to see changes. I know you all probably want to as well, because last night was just not something fun to look at. And I just think we were so predictable last night and shaky. So we got to do something to change it. The intensity, I don't know how you fix that besides training really hard this week and having Carnell and everyone kind of take a look in the mirror. Like, it just wasn't good enough last night. And the intensity isn't because we're not good enough. The intensity is something that you need to bring to every game and play with as a team. And that just needs to be there, man. Like, we got to play that determination, that grit. Otherwise, we're not going to create anything. We're not going to have any chance at winning these games because these teams are coming in looking at us like these guys pull a lot of points in the first couple parts of the season. So let's take them from them now. Like, let's expose them for what they are. So we need to be able to grit and just grind our way through some of these games, man. It's just that intensity you never want to question. And it's unfortunate that we're in this position right now where guys are even noticing it. Like Tim Parker called it out last night too. It's lack of intensity. And that should be something that we always have for me. And there'll be off nights here and there, but we've lacked it a couple games so far.
Yeah, sorry. I was just trying to see if we have odds out yet. Dallas plays tonight, so odds will not come out until that game's already over. But we need to go to Dallas and just punch these guys in the face. We need to basically just come out hot. I need to see something out of these guys, and I think that is a start from Celio. And then I also, like you said, training this week, get back to the fun and enjoyment and the guys smiling. But also, you got to see us grind and press harder because I think that's how we were known for that energy drink soccer the first 5 games this year. Can we get back to that down in Dallas?
Absolutely. I think that trip down to Dallas is going to be something that we're going to learn a lot from. How do we respond to this? Because two not great games in a row now, like really just not great at all. And Dallas is a good team. They're not going to be one that's going to roll over and let us walk all over them. So I'm really excited to see how we respond to this. And I'm really hoping that Carnell makes some changes. And I'm sure he will this week in training. He's shown that he can make some changes there. So I'm excited for it. I actually am really excited for Saturday. I want to move on from this, man. It's been a tough 2 weeks. Take the U.S. Open game out of it. That was fun for sure. Don't get me wrong. But 2 MLS, just not a pretty sight from the squad. So I want to move on. I'm confident we can. I'm not saying that the season's in the bin now because of 2 bad games, but we got to move on and move on quickly.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't think there's really anything else to touch on. I don't even want to talk about this game anymore.
Yeah. Let's make I think we're done with that. Justin, I think that brings an end to the episode for today. That's all we have for the recap. We'll be back at it again on Wednesday with maybe a special guest, Justin. We're working on someone doesn't speak a whole lot, but really speaks in their actions. And I think would be a meaningful guest for you all to kind of hear from or at least see on the live stream. So we'll plan to do something for a preview on Wednesday ahead of FC Dallas, which should be a big response game from the boys. So look.
Yeah, this is gonna be the guy's first time on the pod. Obviously, it's gonna be a new one, and I don't think he's been on any podcast, so I'm excited to bring him on. So we'll see if we can get him.
I am too. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Hope you're having a fantastic Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever you're listening to us. We appreciate you all for tuning in. Throw us a like, throw us a rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever you're listening on, or YouTube as well. Hit us with a subscribe. We are ball watching. Jake and Justin, City. We're gonna come back. We'll be back from this.
Bounce back week, baby. All for City.